What happens when the one you trust most becomes your greatest enemy? Long ago, in the vibrant land of Lagos, where the ocean whispered secrets to the shores and the palms danced in the hot winds, there lived a young woman named Adaora. Adaora was born into hardship. Poverty clung to her like a second skin, and she wore it with reluctant grace. Her parents had passed when she was just a girl, leaving her under the reluctant care of distant relatives who saw her more as a burden than as family. As a young woman, Adaora found herself squatting with her cousin Ifeoma and her family in a modest house in the wealthy district of Victoria Island. Though the house belonged to Ifeoma's family, Adaora treated it with more respect than its owners did. She swept the floors, washed the dishes, and worked small jobs, cleaning offices, selling sachet water, running errands, whatever her hands could find to do. At night, while the others laughed and feasted, Adaora curled up in a corner of the kitchen, dreaming of a different life, one where her soul would not be weighed down by endless wants. One evening, under the soft glow of a flickering kerosene lamp, a whisper ran through the streets like a sudden breeze. The US diversity visa lottery is open. Hope kindled in Adaora's heart like a spark catching dry grass. Could this be the path to a new beginning? She saved what little she had, skipped meals, borrowed a few coins to pay for the application. As she filled out the form with trembling hands, she poured out her dreams into every letter, every number. She prayed to the God of orphans and wanderers, the one who never slept. Months passed, the seasons changed. Adaora continued her life of quiet struggle, barely daring to hope. And then, one fateful afternoon, while Adaora was out cleaning an office in Ikoyi, a letter arrived. It was not just any letter, it was the letter, the one that bore the golden seal of opportunity, the one that declared, "Congratulations, you have been selected for further processing in the US Diversity Visa Program." But Adaora was not there to receive it. Instead, Ifeoma, her cousin, stood holding the envelope. A dangerous thing, envy, it creeps in quietly like termites into the wood until everything beautiful rots from inside. Ifeoma's heart, already brittle with jealousy, crumbled further. How can she, Ifeoma thought bitterly, this girl who squats under my roof, find a better life while I remain here? She made a decision, one as cruel as it was deliberate. She hid the letter, tucked it into a dusty drawer where no light would find it. She watched as the deadline crept closer, then passed. Only after it was too late, long after Adaora's chance had withered, did Ifeoma toss the letter onto the kitchen table with a sneer. "I did it on purpose," Ifeoma said, her voice sharp as broken glass. "How dare you think you could rise while I remain behind?" Adaora stood frozen, the crushed letter trembling in her hands, her dreams dissolving like mist in the morning sun. That night, as Adaora wept silently on the cold kitchen floor, she made a vow. "This will not be the end of my story." And the stars outside, ancient and wise, bore witness. Life pressed on, indifferent to Adaora's broken heart. But Adaora, though battered, was not defeated. She gathered the shattered pieces of her hope and tucked them deep inside her, like seeds waiting for the rain. She worked harder than ever, saving every naira she could. She carried herself with quiet dignity, even as her cousins mocked her behind closed doors. Years slipped by like sand through fingers. One bright morning, while Adaora sold fruits under the blazing sun, a man approached her stand. He was tall, with kind eyes and a gentle smile that seemed to slice through the noise and chaos of the market. His name was Chike. Chike had returned from Ghana, where he had trained as a tailor. He was looking to set up a shop, and he needed help finding affordable clothes. Adaora, ever resourceful, showed him the best places. Their partnership blossomed like bougainvillea in the rainy season. Before long, partnership turned into friendship. Friendship turned into love. Chike saw in Adaora what others failed to see: strength, beauty, a spirit that refused to break. When he proposed, Adaora hesitated. She carried scars too deep for words. But Chike, patient as the tides, waited until she was ready. Under the gaze of the village elders and the blessings of family and friends, they were married in a ceremony filled with color, music, and tears of joy. After the wedding, Chike surprised Adaora with a dream she had buried long ago. "I have been saving," he said, grinning. "We are going to America." The news hit Adaora like summer storm, sudden, overwhelming, and full of promise. Unlike the lottery that was stolen from her, this path was paved with love, with sweat, with sacrifice. There were many hurdles, interviews, paperwork, endless waiting, but together, hand in hand, they crossed them all. When they boarded the plane, Adaora pressed her forehead against the window, watching Lagos shrink into a patchwork kilt of green and brown. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but her heart soared. She was not running away, she was flying toward her destiny. In the land of promise, life was a river, fast, unpredictable, but full of riches for those who knew how to swim. For Adaora and Chike, every day was a test of patience and courage. The new land was not all music and laughter. It demanded hard work, resilience, and the ability to dream even when the body was weary. Adaora worked long hours cleaning offices, scrubbing away the dirt of strangers in glass towers that pierced the clouds. Each evening she returned to their small apartment, smelling of bleach and tiredness. But her heart remained undefeated. Chike too sealed endlessly, his fingers dancing over fabrics as he built a name for himself, one stitch at a time. Their love was their fortress, shielding them from the loneliness that often wrapped itself around newcomers like a heavy cloak. One evening, as Adaora waited for the bus in the biting cold, she saw an advertisement flashing across a giant screen. "Night school, learn the skills of tomorrow." That night, over a simple meal of rice and beans, she told Chike, her voice hesitant but firm, "I want to learn. I do not want to scrub floors forever. There is more inside me than brooms and buckets." Chike looked at her, pride lighting his face like sunrise over a dark valley. "Then learn," he said. "I will work harder. We will make it happen." So, Adaora enrolled in night classes. By day, she cleaned offices. By night, she sat in a crammed classroom filled with people like her, dreamers, fighters, believers. The lessons were difficult. Many nights, she came home with a pounding head and trembling hands, but she remembered her mother's song. "Work is life, but life is more than labor. Life belongs to those who dare to hope." Slowly, like a seed cracking through the hard soil, Adaora began to grow. One winter, Adaora graduated. The certificate opened the first door, a small job at an office, then bigger opportunities. Chike too thrived. With savings and fierce prayers, they bought their first house, a small brick home with a red door, and a garden that Adaora tended with devotion. In that garden, Adaora planted tomatoes and peppers, corn and beans, symbols of her new life. One afternoon, Adaora received a letter offering her full citizenship. Tears welled in her eyes as she clutched it to her chest. The girl who once begged for kindness now held the key to a future built with her own blood and sacrifice. But destiny, though kind, is never without tests. One evening, Adaora's phone rang. It was Ifeoma. She was in ruins, her business gone, her marriage shattered. She begged Adaora for help. Adaora stood at a crossroads. Would she return cruelty for cruelty, or would she rise above? That night, under the moon, she whispered, "I will not let anger be the architect of my future. I will rise above the enemy within." Time, like a tireless river, carried Adaora forward. She became known in her community as a woman of strength and wisdom. Yet, deep in her heart, the memory of Ifeoma's call lingered. One afternoon, as Adaora tended her garden, she decided, "I must return home, not as a victim, but as a victor." Adaora and Chike flew back to Lagos. The old family house stood faded and crumbling. Outside, Ifeoma sat, a shadow of her former self. When she saw Adaora, tears streamed down her face. "I wronged you," she whispered. "I was cruel, envious." Adaora lifted her up. "I am not here to punish you," she said. "You thought you buried me, but you only planted me." She handed Ifeoma an envelope, enough money to clear debts and start anew. Mercy, not revenge, was Adaora's gift. As she drove away, Adaora felt lightness in her soul for the first time in years. Back in America, Adaora and Chike built bigger dreams. They opened a center for immigrant women, a place of healing and hope. At the entrance, a plaque bore Adaora's truth. "The river may be rough, the winds may howl, but the tree that bends does not break. Hope is its root, forgiveness its fruit." And beneath it, dedicated to all who rise above betrayal. Thus ended Adaora's journey, but truly it was only the beginning. Her story traveled across oceans, whispered in marketplaces, sung in classrooms, passed from mother to daughter, father to son. No enemy, whether without or within, could destroy a soul that chooses to heal, to forgive, and to rise. The end.